Hi, I'm Mario Evon, and you're listening to Talk Truth, a weekly edutainment podcast discussing the things that most people are afraid to, but from a Jamaican perspective. From relationships, sex and sexuality, to the ins and outs of entrepreneurship, in this space we speak about almost anything with the intention to inspire, educate, entertain, and create a fair and balanced space where your truth shall become your power and set you free. My people, can I tell you it's episode number 8, and every time I do an episode count I'm like, yo brother, you reach number 8, 8 consecutive and consistent Sundays, and you know that it's not always easy to generate the content, but it really has been such a joy to do this podcast that I look forward to coming here every week. And this week we start touching on the topic of mental health, and I have a friend who's going to speak about the mind-body connection, but not just for everybody, but for her unique and special journey. So as you listen to the podcast today, I want you to listen with a great deal of sensitivity and respect for someone who is being brave enough to share their story and what they had gone through. But before we talk some truth, I want to do a few reviews, and these are not off iTunes, but I decided to grab something off of Twitter. I have a comment from my friend Tony, who is I am Don Juan, and he said, at Mario Evon just finished listening to episode number 7 of at Talk Truth JA. The program shot. Each week I anticipate learning and reflecting on the topics. I appreciate the relevance of this program. The topic selections are on point as well. Talk Truth. Welcome to episode number 8 of Talk Truth. I'm so happy to be here again on another Sunday, and I have with me a wonderful friend who's going to talk to me about her journey with her body and pretty much the mind-body connection and various things that she went through. I mean, so many of us go through either body shaming or just different perspectives on how we look, and it's a bigger deal than many of us think. So I have with me Nyree Cook.
Hey.
And I'm going to let her introduce herself as I make all my guests do. Nyree, hi, who are you?
Hi, I'm Nyree. I am a, fitness enthusiast, book nerd, mama's little girl. That sounds so corny. I don't know. Who am I? I am a person who is constantly evolving, constantly changing, constantly trying to find myself, trying to be happy.
Right, and I guess that's all of our journeys, right?
I would hope so.
I would hope so, right? But maybe some people don't evolve at all.
Which would be unfortunate.
All right, let us go into the meat of the matter. I mean, you spoke to me about being passionate about the mind-body connection. Mm-hmm. So what I want to start, what were you like growing up as a child in terms of physical? How would you describe yourself?
Growing up as a little girl, I was probably smaller than some. I was short. Still am short now. But I was referred to as the one with the big bottom. So I got that typical Jamaican, there's a part of your body that gets described. So it's your big eyes. It's the one with the little bottom, or the one with the big bottom in my case. So I was never conscious of my body, but I was conscious of the fact that I had a big bottom, even though I didn't necessarily know what that meant.
What it meant about what age were you at that time?
I distinctly remember being in prep school and going to my prep school barbecue and walking through the crowd and having a group of, I'm assuming, older ladies said, the one in the little dress, the one with the big bottom. I'm like, who, me? I have a big bottom?
Well, at least you know you're Jamaican, because I mean, hey, that could be a great thing. Well, I don't know if at that age if it was a great thing for you.
At that age, I don't think any of us really want to be noticed.
Exactly,
in that way.
Exactly. Because nobody else really has a big bottom, or not too many girls had a big bottom, right?
I mean, this is me at maybe 8, 9.
Yeah, so that's kind of almost pre-puberty-ish, a couple years. So you were a little off the mark.
But it's a Jamaican thing. It's a Caribbean thing.
Right. All right, so fine. You knew yourself as the girl with the big bottom. What about, how would you say, when you started to become a little bit older, what was your perception of beauty? What to you was beauty as a young girl?
Boy, that's hard to answer. Because I don't know if I ever looked at myself and thought as a teenager or prepubescent, gee, you're beautiful, but I don't remember thinking you're not beautiful either. I was just me.
Right.
I think for a lot of girls, myself, the notions of beauty and body didn't really roll around until you started noticing boys, or until boys started noticing you and what was cute to a boy. And did you possess any of those things that made you cute or didn't make you cute?
I like that perspective. You say it wasn't so much a personal thing. All right. So around what age you felt like that happened for you?
I probably would have been like 16, the latter half of high school, when the girls' flexes started to include boys.
Right.
Or your girlfriend started to have boyfriends.
Right. So you were probably like 5th, 6th form, maybe somewhere around there?
15, 16-ish.
Very interesting. And all right, before we get to that, what would you say about family? And I mean, I'm guessing we're getting to a point where you were maybe less comfortable with your body for some reason or another. So I'm kind of like ramping up to where I guess maybe you had some kind of construct of what you thought you should have looked like, but you probably weren't looking like that in your mind, I'm gathering. But before we get there, in terms of family, anybody in the family made you feel any specific way about your body? So the people were saying you have a big bottom.
I mean, my family might have mentioned it, but it was more about the fact that I have big eyes.
Right. So they weren't focusing on the bottom.
Oh no, is what books have you read today? Did you study? That's what my family was talking about.
Right. So we're in high school now, and pretty much boys are looking at you. Where is this moving body-wise? You still comfortable with yourself?
I think I'm still comfortable with myself because for me, I'm a book nerd. Still, I'm a book nerd. I was never super physical, so I didn't do sports. That was never really my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're 16, your metabolism is firing. You can eat 2 patty every day and a box juice, and you don't gain a pound. That changes as you get a little bit older. And
right, so
a little bit more sedentary.
and that as well, right? All right, so we're 16. What do you think of your body now?
I think it's average, but part of the thing is, as a 16-year-old girl in Jamaica, you are also in a uniform every day.
Right.
So there's not much opportunity for you to see your body or to notice other people's bodies unless there's something extreme. Your typical high school uniform is a muumuu.
Right, like
type,
a muumuu.
A muumuu type style.
Which is pretty sexy.
Or
depending on what you like.
Or a skirt with a blouse and a tie.
Right.
The skirt is passing in most instances.
And I mean, I remember a campaign used to say, girls, you need to wear an A-line skirt. The skirts had to
and
be...
you had to wear your slip, and the slip had to be X amount of inches from the hem of your skirt.
Mm-hmm. At what point did you start to socialize in a way where maybe boys were more involved, or you started to become more conscious of your body? And I guess maybe beach parties, or even partying in general, or wearing clothes that was more revealing.
I want to say that was UA, because the freshman 15 is real.
Right.
Including in Jamaica.
Yeah, everything's a US thing now.
No, you eat enough hall food, you eat enough kiosk food.
Right.
All of a sudden you're like, hold on. The pants are a little tighter.
Right.
The shirt is a little more snug than you're used to. All of a sudden you're like, what is going on here?
So you started to gain some weight at the university level?
I would say at university level, I went from being more of a stick with a bottom to a body with a bottom.
To a full-figured woman.
Okay, let's go there.
All right. Is that me being generous?
I would say full-figured, but I don't know if I love the term full-figured.
And why not? How you feel about full-figured?
But what is the flip side of that coin? If you're not full, you're what?
Well, this is the thing now, and this is where we're coming to all these body definitions, because then, what is plus size, what is voluptuous, what is fat, and then everybody has a definition for each variation of it. What is fluffy?
What is thick?
What is thick? And I mean, what I get from some of them to probably even make it a little broad is that I think some look at somebody fat as like someone without any shape at all. So they don't have a waist. They just have a lot of body fat versus maybe a shapelier person who is bigger. So a lot of that is part of the differentiation is what I garner from a lot of how people try to separate them, which is interesting.
But I think for me where it changed was when my physical body, or how I saw my physical body, represented how happy I felt as a human being.
All right, tell me a bit more about that.
I honestly can't pinpoint a day or a time or a situation where that changed.
Where it changed, right?
But suddenly my body and how it looked became very linked to how happy I felt. So I am like a lot of women out there where we did the diets, where we did the extreme exercising. I remember the Atkins years,
right,
which was in the mid 2000s. I remember going to the gym 5 days a week, working out 2 hours a day, doing 2 back-to-back step classes. And then you drop down to, I think the smallest I've ever been as an adult is like 130 pounds.
Right.
130 pounds on me looks hungry. But I can remember looking at myself in the mirror at 130 and being like, oh my God, I need to lose 5 more pounds, just 5 more pounds. But I can remember being at a beach party and having a friend of blessed memory come up to me just randomly and say, Nyree, it's time to stop.
Interesting. So you think you were going so hard that you even kind of lost a true vision of what it became addictive.
Yeah, and I think part of it, honestly, is body dysmorphia.
Right.
Because I have the pictures. You can see my spine, you can see my ribs, and you could not have told me, no, I was fat.
And you needed to lose 5 more pounds.
I needed to lose 5 more pounds, and until I lost those 5 more pounds, I wasn't going to be happy.
What do you think may have been driving it at that time? You think it was kind of a perception of seeing other people, external things influencing it, or was it more internal or a combination?
I want to say for me, it's probably more internal,
mm-hmm.
and thinking that the external would change my internal.
Right.
And that the 5 extra pounds would be, okay, my body looks great now, so ergo I'm happy.
And that would make you happy as a person. Would it also change things that happened in your world as well? You felt like being slimmer would have made you more attractive to people, or being cooler?
Being slimmer would make you more attractive. Everybody goes through the hard breakups, and after the hard breakups, you're like, okay, what can I change about myself? Is it going to be my hair? Is it going to be my weight? Am I going to dress a little differently? What new thing can I do to, I guess, rev yourself up to get out there again?
Get out there again. How would you say the people around you and played a part? And by that I mean how the people around you looked. So, your other friends around you, their body types, what I don't know. You know what I mean? I really trying to see like what the company you kept, if that also had any bearing on what was normal for you. Or should have been normal for you?
I don't think so, because if you look at one of my closest friends, we've been best friends for 20 some odd years now. She's tall, she's thin, she's gorgeous, but she's a yoga instructor.
Right.
So that's what her body does. But I can remember there was a time when both of us were in the gym lifting weights and going hard because you needed to have, whether it was that 6-pack or the definition or whatever.
Right. So both of you had similar goals in terms of getting better bodies.
Mm-hmm.
But you never felt threatened by her body type being different from your body type.
Mm-mm.
Well, that's a good thing though, because a lot of this in your particular story seems to be a personal battle that you had with yourself.
No, definitely it was always about me. It was never about the people around me making me feel insecure or pushing me to look a certain way. That was definitely all me.
Well, that makes your story even more unique, because I feel like a lot of what is projected in the media is really a lot of people who want to look good because other people look good, or because their friends look good, or because celebrities look good.
And part of what happens now is you see the quote-unquote look good, and you think, once I get the look, I'll get the lifestyle.
Right.
Or I'll get the look happy on Instagram. Right. So if I have the body, well, why not me too?
Very interesting. So, all right. So you said there was a switch between body and happiness. You would say that maybe you were in your 20s. What decade do you remember being in? I know. I mean, hey, we're that. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's change this question.
Wow.
I mean, you're only like in your 30s, so that means you only have your teens and your 20s.
I'm not ashamed of my age, sir.
All right. So we can use the word decades then.
Yes, we can use the word decades. I'm privileged for all of my 43 years.
Wonderful. And you look wonderful for your 43 years.
Thank you.
All right. So you were probably, I'm going to guess you were probably in your 20s when it started.
Yeah, I would say I was in my 20s when it really started to manifest in what I now look back and think of as a negative way.
Right.
Because I am pushing so hard. I am doing things that my body does not really want to do. you as a doctor would know, you have the BMI index and
Right.
whatever. My body at 5'3.5" does not want to be 130 pounds. For me to maintain 130 pounds, I must eat like a bird, and I must do a ridiculous amount of cardio
to stay that size.
It's not just about what I eat.
But at that point, you wouldn't have wrapped your head fully around that, right?
No.
You were just pushing to try and get it done.
You're just pushing to try and get it done. And if I need to eat lettuce and chicken all day, every day, I'm going to eat lettuce and chicken, and then I'm going to do 2 hours of cardio.
Well, you made a good segue into family body types. If you were to describe your family, what type of body types do they have? Like, a lot of people will say genetically they're inclined to be this way.
Well, my mom is short. My mom is maybe 5 foot and maybe 100 pounds soaking wet.
So she's as slim as?
She's a tiny little thing. I mean, maybe when she was younger, I guess as you age, you probably get a little smaller.
Right.
But I would say I have my mom's body type. We're both petitish. I would be more fuller figured than my mother.
Right. Does she have the big bottom?
No.
Right. So that was in the genetics.
That was somewhere way down in the back.
Way down in the back, and it came down to you. It skipped the generation.
Yeah, I got the throwback booty.
Throwback booty. All right. So when did your fitness journey actually begin? So you said you weren't really into sports when you were younger. You used to be a bookworm. So a lot of the working out started when you were trying to just get...
It was gym. It was regular gym and classes and whatever. But it was gym about creating a particular body type, which is not the mindset that I have now.
What were you trying to create then? If you could describe it and put it into words.
I was trying to be... I don't even want to say slim because it wasn't slim. I was trying to create happy in a physical form.
Right.
I don't know how better to explain it to somebody.
But it was smaller.
It was much smaller. Much smaller.
Right. You couldn't probably say it was a broad shoulders or like a narrow waist.
Because it was never about getting to a weight. Because I'd hit a goal, you hit 130 and then you say, all right, 5 more pounds.
You wanted more. And this is why you are referring to it as body dysmorphism. So do you really think it was body dysmorphism? And was it formally ever diagnosed as that? Or you kind of feel like this was really just what
it was? Never formally diagnosed, but that's what I think it was.
Right.
When you look in the mirror and you see what really isn't there.
Right.
At 5'3.5", 130 pounds is not fat. Not by any definition.
Not fat at all.
But you couldn't tell me that I wasn't fat.
What do you think caused you to snap out of it?
A couple of different things. I have had, what is the best way to put it? I have struggled with depression and anxiety. And I think when I got serious about treating my depression and treating my anxiety and being introspective about myself as a whole person, my connection to my body changed. So it wasn't about a weight. It became about a feeling.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to take you into a place that is not a happy place. But I know your father passed. God rest his soul. And it was a difficult time for you, right?
Horrible.
Were you struggling with depression prior to his passing? Separate and apart? Or was most of your depression tied to his passing?
I would say probably I was struggling before, but struggling and coping.
Right. Functional.
I was high functioning. I think when my dad died, and my dad died unexpectedly, it threw me completely for a loop.
Yeah.
So you function. The funeral is over, and you're like, okay, what now?
Blank.
Complete blank.
You were working?
I was working, and you're functioning, but
you're not here.
You're not there. Yeah. You're not connected. You're not connected to your friends. I thought I was high functioning after. But when you talk to people who are super close to me, they would say, you weren't there.
You zombied out.
The light in your eyes was completely gone. And you're like, okay, I can go home and cry for 2 hours and nobody will notice. I will have the crippling anxiety where your heart is racing, you can't sleep, you can't move. But I'll get over it and no one will notice.
What year was this?
My dad died 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which in the scheme of things is still recent, yeah. Yeah.
And it stayed like that for, I want to say, a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then I'm forever grateful for the family that I have, for the friends that I have who got to a point where they said, okay, no. Things started to happen. Things started to fall apart. And I can remember a conversation with my brother where he basically said, you need to deal with this. This is foolishness.
Yeah.
And I called a psychiatrist and I made an appointment because for me, I had hit my bottom. I felt ugly.
And you felt like there was nowhere else to go below that?
No, there wasn't anywhere else. And I felt physically ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it may not have been a reflection of what was in the mirror, but it was the feeling of, I don't like myself.
But
I don't feel good in my body.
Was this physical ugliness similar to that body dysmorphism feeling of needing to lose 5 more pounds, or were these like 2 separate kind of feelings? This was a different kind of feeling?
This was a different kind of feeling, but it was attached to, during depression, I wasn't in the gym. I wasn't eating properly. I wasn't spending a lot of time on myself. You might work out here and there, but it's like, all right, yeah, go work out for now and then go home and eat whatever is in the fridge or whatever.
Not motivated.
You're not motivated. You're doing it to go through the motions almost.
Yeah.
But there wasn't any results behind it. And you're frustrating yourself because you're half doing it. And then you're wondering why you feel, ugh.
Wow. All right. Well, tell me about coming out of it, because you decided to seek help, which was, and you were encouraged to, and I guess you knew it was time as well.
I knew it was time, and I think I walked into it with an open mind because I don't know how widely therapy is accepted, just generally, as in something that you need to do.
Worse in our culture.
For yourself. Mm-hmm. Not that you have a mental problem, whether you want to style depression as a mental illness, which I think it is.
It is. It absolutely is.
In its many forms.
Right.
But I decided I needed to get better for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to do something for me. And after I started going to therapy, started working on myself, freely admit that I had to be put on medication to help me deal with myself. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I needed to do that to manage all my emotions, all my anxiety, all my issues, and accepting that this is what I needed to do in this moment, in this time, to get better. So now that you're starting to feel a little bit more mentally coherent, almost a little bit more focused, and you're like, all right, what can I do to feel physically better? Because it's one of the things that we discussed in therapy. You need to be active.
So you had 2 components to your therapy. You had a psychiatrist who also doubled as your therapist, or your psychiatrist did your medical prescriptions, and you had a counseling psychologist separately.
Psychiatrist who did both.
Okay, yeah, psychiatrist functioning as both.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you would definitely say that people who are suffering from any kind of mental health, that it was beneficial for you specifically.
It was beneficial for me specifically, and I would say to anyone, you don't have to feel like you're super depressed. You don't have to WebMD your own diagnosis to say, you know what, let me talk to somebody today.
Yeah.
Let me just bounce something off of somebody who is like totally outside of your circle, who is totally objective, who can say the harsh things to you or the hard things to you, or can just be a listening ear. It's not easy for all of us just to open up.
Yeah, and a lot of times they are just listening.
Exactly, and even though it might be your closest friend in the world, sometimes there's some things you just can't say.
Yeah, either for whatever fear or embarrassment, and sometimes close friends just have too much perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So, they can't be as objective as you like them to be.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I like where this went, Nyree, because this when I came into this episode, I thought it was one of those, I was struggling with being fat because everybody was slim, but really I was unhappy, and it was tied to my body in an interesting way.
Mm-hmm.
And becoming smaller for you was your supposed path to happiness, but really there was no happiness there, because it wasn't really about becoming smaller.
Because you got smaller, but you just
never got happy.
You never got happy, and you couldn't understand. It's like, all right, maybe the happiness is in the extra 5 pounds.
Right.
And if I lose the extra 5, that's where it's going to start kicking in.
Right. Wow. And well, I was going to ask you about body shaming, but I wanted to talk about it because that in your specific journey, body shaming wasn't really a feature of your journey per se.
No, but one of the things when I think about body shaming and how we body shame in Jamaica and in the broader diaspora, it is one of the things that irks my soul deeply. When you see somebody, Lord, you get fatty?
Yeah.
It drives me wild.
And I find it is very common. I mean, I think it happens all over the world, but in black cultures, I find particularly love to do it.
In my mind, I'm like, why the body comment at all?
Why at all?
You don't know, is this person ill? Have they had an accident? It can be thyroid, it can be fibroids, it can be any manner of things. But I don't know when we decided that saying, boy, you fatty, or boy, you look like you get fatty, became, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
No,
it's not appropriate.
World, if you're listening,
please stop.
Stop it immediately.
Please stop.
No, that's not how you want to greet a friend. And I'm sorry, you are going to get the venom if you greet me like that. I refuse to stand for it now.
Yeah, no, I drop the venom sometimes. It's ironic because I actually get the reverse of that body shaming. I get the skinny shaming because I've had episodes where people come and they see me working out and they see me pushing hard in the gym and trying my best to create the physique I'd like. And then they see one half of my body, which is smaller, and then they automatically make the assumption that you're not working legs enough. You need to do an extra leg day, and comment on it in public spaces or social media spaces. And it's a bit sad because you know what you're putting in and you know how hard you're working, but you have to love yourself and be comfortable. So I'm at a point now where I'm unaffected, but I can see how it can affect somebody.
And especially when it comes from a stranger, somebody who doesn't know you, who doesn't know your story, who doesn't know your journey. That's not what you say to somebody. How about looking somebody in the eye and saying, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
That's simple. You can stop right there.
Yeah. How much does it mean to you to be an advocate for mental health given the things that you've gone through in the past couple of years?
I tell any and everybody, and I will shout it from the countertops, we all need help.
Yeah.
And there is no shame in asking for that help. And for some of us, for a lot of us, the professional help is really the way to go.
Well, I've been wanting to go to a counseling psychologist recently, something that I haven't done as yet. And I think it's the same Caribbean fear of kind of opening up to someone who is in a small culture. Someone who I'm going to have to really trust that they're going to be confidential. Even though at the core of it, I feel like they're a good person. But, just as you're opening up in front of me, you've known me for a while and we've never shared this kind of information. But you're now sharing it with so many others and you see the power in that. But it's a scary thing for go sit down and tell somebody something.
It's scary to show somebody you're ugly.
Yeah, it is. But you feel like they're going to judge you for it, but they may not. And they may.
And sometimes, like I said, it's okay. And sometimes you need to hear the hard thing.
Yeah.
So I will say one of the things I struggled with after my dad passed is we had a difficult relationship. And there were things that I wanted to say that I never said. And my therapist said, you're never going to get that chance.
And maybe a lot of the emotions you were feeling were tied into feeling guilty about not
You're never
speaking.
going to get that chance, and you're going to have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
There are questions that you will never have answers to, and that just has to be okay. It doesn't mean you're less of a person. It doesn't mean you loved him any less. It doesn't change the journey or the experience, but it has to be okay where it is.
Because you're just not going to have that conversation in this life.
No, and you are going to drive yourself crazy having the conversation in your head because the answers you're giving are the answers you're giving yourself.
Absolutely right. Oh, wow. All right. Tell me a bit about where are you now? Where are you now with fitness? Where are you now with diet? Where are you now with mental health and your body image?
Where am I now? Well, I have been doing CrossFit for, I want to say, maybe a little over 2 years or more. And one of the things that I love about CrossFit for me, a lot of people will tell you CrossFit is a cult, which it's not.
Yeah. A cult of squats and clean and press.
No.
It's so much more than that.
It's more than that, but for me, it is community.
Yeah.
And I encourage anybody to come and try. But one of the things I've said to the guys that I work out with is that I appreciate the fact that they are always there for me. I've never felt alone in a workout. I've never felt like somebody wasn't supporting me. You literally have people screaming across the room, Nyree, you can do it, go, 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 go. And I do that for people as well. So it doesn't matter that I'm doing the workout at 50 pounds and somebody's doing the workout at 150 pounds.
You're just doing the workout.
We're both still doing the workout. And the person doing 150 is cheering for my success. And me at 50 is cheering for their success.
It's like workout therapy.
It is.
Real life.
At the end of the day, we all work hard. Most of us work very hard. We have demanding lives, demanding jobs. And I choose to take that 1 hour for me.
Yeah.
I can plug out from any meeting, any work stress, any personal stress. And that physicality is awesome.
And I know you've done a gamut of workouts. So of all the things that you've done, you'd say this is where you are currently most comfortable.
It's currently where I'm most comfortable. And it's funny, I was working out today and my coach was looking at my squat and he was saying, you remember where you started? My original squat looked more like a curtsy because it was horrible. But I've changed so much in the past 2 years. And he's like, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
And like literal chest swell up instantly.
But you physically changed too. I've known you for a while and you look different as well.
Because the thing is not that the anxiety and it's not that the depression is gone, but this is what I need to do to help myself get by.
And maybe your happiness is shining through this body as well too. It could be a bit of both, you know?
And the thing is, at 130 pounds, which is my smallest, I couldn't run a mile. I couldn't deadlift 230 pounds. I couldn't squat 160 pounds now.
So you were slim and non-functional.
I was slim and unfit.
Right.
That's the reality. I wasn't fit at all.
Which is good for some people, but yeah.
But now my goal is to be strong.
Yeah.
And that strength is mental and physical. So I want to be able to run a mile without stopping. I want to deadlift 130 pounds. I want to squat 160 pounds and more. And I want to push myself to do more. So the joy is in the achievement of those goals. It's not stepping on a scale and being like, oh, look, I'm down to whatever. And it's not that you don't step on a scale.
Right, you do. And you do have PRs in CrossFit, but they are PRs. They're yours.
They're mine.
They're personal record. Personal.
Yeah. They're my personal records. Right. So
it's not comparative.
No,
even
it's
though I'm
not.
Sure some people do look at other people's things, but at the same time, that's you.
But where I am now, I'm not looking at my neighbor in the box and saying, oh, they're smaller than me, or oh, they're lifting more weight than me. I'm like, you get it.
Right.
You lift
if
them.
you did 300 last week, you're looking at your 305 or your 310, right?
Yes, and I'm cheering for them. I want them to do well.
Right. Wow. All right. So I'm going to just give you my last, 2 questions. I want to open up the floor to you. I see now that you've taken me in this direction that I didn't even know I was going to be taken in. Is there anything else that you'd want to share with our listeners about mental health and your body journey, the mind-body connection, anything at all, actually?
I think one of the things I try to remind myself every day is that perfect is not real.
Yeah.
Be happy and present in the here and in the now. Set a goal for today. So if that goal is just to get up and go to the gym for an hour, if I've done that, fine. Some days it's just about making it through the day. And that's okay.
Yeah. So we need to just be okay. Not just okay, but we need to realize that it is okay.
It is okay
to just make it through the day.
And for anybody who is struggling with anxiety, depression, whatever it is, make a call, check our website.
Ask a friend if they know a friend.
Ask a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
There really is no shame in asking for help.
And there are a lot more resources now than there were many years ago.
Oh, for sure. Man.
And lots of young people too. I mean, it doesn't even have to be. Some people are afraid to go into religious spaces. So I know Family Life Ministries is awesome, and I know a lot of people go there. But there are actually a lot of other young counseling psychologists, clinical psychologists who are great. And it may not have a religious basis if that is a fear.
I'm not religious at all.
I was going to ask you that question. Was there any kind of spiritual, religious support or tie-in to the transition?
I'm not religious. I believe in spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the divine. I believe in greater than myself and of myself. What that is, I'm still trying to work that out.
Right.
So that wasn't part of my journey. But for somebody, maybe that needs to be part of your journey.
Right.
Maybe you are rooted in that spiritual side, and that is where you will find your help.
Yeah. What's next on the journey?
Oh gosh.
CrossFit 5.0.
More fitness, more happiness, more being Nyree.
More being you.
Mm-hmm.
And would you say that where are you on the self-love scale right now? 10 being the highest.
Oh gosh, I don't even know if I'd put it on a scale. Every day is different.
I love that.
Every day is different because some days, I'm sure guys do this as well. You wake up in the morning, you get ready, and you're like, blah, 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 look good.
I don't ever say it that way, but I think sometimes I do feel like,
sometimes you look in the mirror and you flex a little differently.
Sometimes, some days you feel good. Sometimes you, yeah.
And then some days you're like, all right, I'm going to have to plod it through and make it out. But yeah, every day is different.
That's what I love about the beauty of a question, that I could tell you to put something on 1 to 10 and you could tell me I don't see it as a scale. But that's the beauty of life, right?
Yes, it is.
You answer it the way you see it.
Exactly.
Which I hope more people would do in life too, but that's a whole nother podcast because, we need to be discerning enough. But it does show a great deal of self-awareness to be able to know that this is not how you want to grade it. But this is where you are now.
Because the grading locks you in for me. So I don't want to do that to myself. I don't want to constrain myself to saying, all right, today is an 8 and tomorrow is a 7. No, today I feel good.
Yeah.
Feeling good today and feeling good tomorrow could be completely different, but it's the same feel good.
I love it. Nyree, thank you for coming here and talking the truth.
You are so welcome.
I mean, we always do this in these spaces, but I don't know if people who are listening admire or appreciate sometimes the bravery of people to share. And as we sit down here in a room, it's just the two of us. Mm-hmm. But, somebody's in their bedroom listening to this on their headphones and receiving it. And
maybe it might be that push.
Maybe that push to go get some help, eh?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we want.
Yes.
To touch somebody else.
That's correct.
You just listened to episode number 8 of Talk Truth. And again, we love the support. It's been 8 weeks and you've been here right throughout the journey. And as usual, I ask you to follow us on Twitter at TalkTruthJA and follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Mario Evon. Subscribe, follow, and like the podcast anywhere that you listen to your podcast. And when you share, take a screenshot, steal a quote, and use the hashtags TalkTruthJA or MeTalkTruth, right? Feel free to have a conversation under the picture on the IG page. And you can find all episodes at talktruthja.com. And feel free, shoot me an email if you want. Send me something direct and personal at talktruthja@gmail.com. And of course, if you love what you're hearing, we want you to go over to iTunes and give us a star rating and also a text review so I can read them on the show. And at least we know if you're really enjoying what's going on. Boy, my name is Mario Evon, as you know, and you've been listening to Talk Truth. Yeah, that's one different pronunciation. A place where your truth shall become your power and set you free. Until next Sunday, stay blessed.